I don't have to.
No, you can just be yourself, fam. It's fine. You can look at everybody. I mean, it's really for everyone here. This is just for me to capture the actual thing. So look at everyone in the eyes when you're ready, if you want to. If that's how you communicate.
If it's how I communicate.
If that's how you wanna, you know what I mean? Just talk.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Does it sound clear? Cheryl, can you talk for me, please?
Hello.
Is it okay that it's a couple seconds
Yeah,
behind?
of course. That's normal, fam.
It's messing with my head a bit.
You don't have to listen anymore. No, it's fine. Alright.
Oh,
Cool.
okay.
Alright, cool. Yeah, mute it then. That's all good. Alright, let's do this properly. So,
Nervous?
yeah.
Always.
Andrew, you ready? You good? Good, yeah. Yeah. Basically, cool. Chevelle is here for you lot. Obviously, we've got a live jam session tomorrow. And did you already explain what you've been doing?
Not in
Not
depth.
really.
Cool. Can somebody please explain what you've been doing and what this event is to you?
So for the past 4 weeks, we've been trying to put together a live jam session for a bunch of artists to come up and improvise with your band. And we've just been coming up with different ideas on how to make the vibe. We want it to kind of feel relaxing and chilled, like a normal jam session. And yeah, I don't know if you lot want to add anything else if I missed anything.
Over the past few weeks we've been planning how to say, firstly focusing on the stage, how we should arrange the seating, and then what have we covered? We covered
Marketing.
the marketing. Yeah, the marketing. So we created some videos and promos, etc.
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. That would be TikTok friendly. You can share it with people who are interested. And for this week, basically, we are wrapping up. We are collecting the all of the essential props needed for the stage and just setting up and be prepared. And
Props. Can I ask more questions?
Mm-hmm.
What are the props? What's happened? What's okay? What's different from the last jam that happened?
The only one that has the answer to that is me and Odette, to be honest.
Okay.
So Odette should answer that one, if you want.
So we're gonna have like a couple activities set up. We're gonna have a writing space where people can just write. We're also gonna have a prompt jar for the artists, like if they, like obviously some people come prepared, some people don't prepared. So yeah, if they fancy like us pulling out like whatever little prompts, and we'll also have a feedback jar. And people can put their thoughts in. We've got a selfie. We've got a selfie corner. It's a little bit of like branding, promo stuff, where people can take pictures, and also just the whole. Obviously, it's upstairs, so it's not downstairs.
Okay.
In the theatre, but we've got like little rugs and bean bags. So it's like more of a
More like a safe space type of.
kind
That's
of relaxed thing.
Okay.
And like little fairy lights. I feel like it's a bit more. Before it was like there was a stage before as well, so before it seems a bit more like there's a separation.
I would agree with that actually. Yeah, it was not necessarily disconnected to the audience, but having that or the closeness, intimacy with that, I think would help. Especially if other people were a bit nervous going up.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. That's nice.
Yeah, and the venue's changed as well. So I don't know if you said that already. I wasn't listening, but you said that already.
Yeah.
You said that already. Cool. Well, yeah, the venue's different from last time. So it's just a flat space, like Odette probably just said. So yeah, but yeah, that's the difference. What was I gonna say? So yeah, even you can ask them questions, but these lot won't be able to ask you lot questions just about. I guess the topic of it is, what is. I mean, who out of you lot has anybody ever played with a band before? Some of you are actual musicians, nah.
Not like with. I have done like. I remember my GCSE. I used to play the saxophone.
Jeez.
And I remember we did like. Do you know? You guys know, right? Did you like do GCSE music?
I didn't do GCSE, but.
So like, you know when you have to do like a song.
Oh yeah, I know about
Like, so yeah, I remember that was, but I found that really fun. Like, we did like, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. And that was really fun. Like, really, we were excited, man. And then I have sometimes done like some, I don't know, like course things, but it's not like, I wouldn't say it's different, because it's not like I'm on a stage where I'm performing to like unknown people. I can't really compare it, and it's not really the same. So, but yeah, sometimes I'm like, you get like a bit nervous, like, am I playing the right thing, or am I in time, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, it's really just talking about like, from your perspective on stage, what you get, kind of your experience with doing jam sessions.
So
from the band's perspective, what's
for
up?
me personally, the jam session usually happen very privately in the studio when we create stuff, say with fellow musician, and he or she plays piano and I play the guitar and I sing something randomly. That would be more in a space like a private studio rather than showcasing the content directly to the audience. I think that definitely requires courage and proficient skills to be able to, improvise and still presentable. So I feel that is a difference between, that creative process and also the showcase process.
Yeah. Chevelle.
Yes.
What's your experience been so far with us doing jam sessions? I know you went to one yesterday, the So Far Sounds one. For example.
I'll probably start from like when I was doing my undergrads, being in a jam session. I would normally just go to watch, even though I knew that there's probably, like, it's easy enough for me to just go up and play, but I wouldn't. I was one of those people who were a bit like, do I go up? I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Now, I would probably say that it's a lot easier for me because of the experience of playing live music, especially with loads of other different musicians. Like, it's not always the same person. If it is, that's even better, because then you obviously know you have that relationship with that person, or the connection enough to be able to vibe better than if it was just a stranger that I was playing with. But I feel like the beauty of jam sessions is that you get to showcase yourself in a way where someone might hear something you do that you might not even think is anything. You're just playing something. Someone might clock onto that and come find you afterwards, but that was wicked, like you did really well, and it kind of gives you a little bit of that validation, like you might have been in your head, but that person heard what you did and thought it was amazing, and vice versa. It allows you to network. I feel like I've met so many new people just from sitting on stage and playing, compared to if I was just standing there wanting to go and not actually doing it. Yeah, even yesterday, everyone did a solo, and it got around to me, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it. And I didn't do it. Now that I kind of wish I did, but I was definitely in my head with that. But even after having that little conversation with you, tomorrow I will try. I'll try my best. But it's definitely a confidence thing, I would say. No matter how, like, if you've been playing for 2 months, if you've been playing for 10 years, the person playing for 2 months might be better than the person playing for 10. Like, it all is your will of how you want to push yourself to get to the place you want to be musically.
Mm.
Yeah, because I know you've mentioned improvisation quite a lot, and I feel like a lot of people feel that is the main thing of a jam session, whereas I feel like it's the other way around, where you create off the top of your head, like you're just vibing with other people creating music. That is essentially, I guess, improvisation. I feel like maybe I'm taking your words, the word improvisation, as someone who's literally like coming up with things as a solo type of thing. That's how I see it. I don't know what it might mean to you when you say improvisation in a jam.
I think it's a very general way to address when you don't have a specific pattern.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, just I mean, so there is a pattern. For example, you know the chord progression.
Mhm, mhm.
You know how to. You have a fixed way to improvise. I mean, that could be improvised, but
That's true. Yeah.
is that how it works?
Yeah. No. Yeah. That is definitely it. I think probably in my head I was taking it as someone who's like shredding a guitar and just doing it off
Too
the top of
random.
it. Yeah, but I'm like, how are you doing that? That's crazy. Or someone who's maybe rapping or coming up with words just off the top of their heads. Whereas, yeah, that's a skill. I feel like that's definitely a skill, but it's something that could be learned, which comes into play with the whole confidence thing. And just the more you do stuff,
This one as well.
the more you do things, the
It's
easier it will
probably
become for you.
unlikely.
Yeah. I know I said I was talking quite a bit.
What? No,
I
man,
don't know
talk.
if I went off.
You're meant to talk, bro. Cool. Yeah. I didn't even introduce you myself properly,
That's okay.
but you probably understand. Yeah. Like, yeah, I feel like when you're playing in a jam, you just kind of come up. The improvisational part is just a natural thing. So when people want to come and play on the day, for example, what you're gonna find is like, well, from the musician's side, I feel like what they're doing in their head, and me even, is you're planning as you go. Like, it's not as if, you know, you just jump on stage and you just don't know what you're gonna do. More time you're feeling like an energy or like some notes that you want to play in progression. Do you know what I mean? And that just becomes like a loop basically. So I feel like the scariest part for most of the people that's gonna be playing, if any of you wanted to jump on as well, the scariest thing would just be like, what do I do? But really all you have to do is just think of four, even if it's four, just a loop, do you know what I mean? You can repeat that and kind of build off that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely would. Sometimes you can, like you said, like come with something and then just have everybody else jump on it and put their spin on things. Or you generally could just go in and the drummer might start playing, but you don't actually know where it's gonna go. You're just hearing the beat and kind of vibing off what the drummer's doing. Sometimes I know I shouldn't do this, but I would wait for the keyboards to play. I wait for the keys guy to do what he's doing before I start playing. Whereas you would think it would be the other way around. If a drummer's playing, then the bass is next in formation. But I feel like when it's like that, it's easier for me to riff off what the energy of the other person in that way.
Can I ask a question? So is that because like mainly the keyboard guys, like the band, like the leader of the band? Cause like why couldn't he bounce off you? Do you know what I mean?
You probably could.
Probably could.
It's
Yeah.
just like a habit thing. Like
I think
Yeah.
probably, yeah. There are times where I have done it, but I think it's just comfortability. Yeah, maybe I should stop doing that. Check me if I do that tomorrow.
You don't have to, but you can, yeah. No, but
No,
it's true,
please
innit?
do, because I need to get out of like little habits that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice that actually now that you said that.
I feel like even we had a session last week with Leo, he's played keyboard, and then I noticed like when we did the session, remember, for me and you, this was like, alright Leo, do something please, and Leo would set the tone and he would make the chord progressions and then we'll bounce off of what he's doing. So then we just made the rule, well I made the rule and then I think you joined in, where one person starts off a song idea and then everyone bounces off that and just makes the energy different. But I feel like for a beginner, because you're advanced, so you're allowed to break out of that habit. But I feel like for a beginner, for example, like if someone's new to a jam session, it might be a good idea to pick a sound or pick a musician that you're gonna bounce off of and then just focus on what they're doing, innit? Like if I was a singer, like just coming to a jam for the first time, for example, and I'm nervous, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. My advice would be like, just expect something from one person, the keys player, for example, and just wait for the keys player to make a vibe that you like, and then whatever they're doing, just write ideas in your head or on your phone as to how you're gonna respond, and then go on stage and vibe with the keys player, and then everybody else you'll probably start playing based on what the vocalist does as well. The drums will help you. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it's bad that you pick a leading person. I don't think there's ever a leader. It's just whoever everybody feels like is making the loop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that. Because Andres, I don't know if he's going to be there tomorrow.
He's gonna be there tomorrow.
Like he plays guitar. It could be him. Like it could generally be any of us that does that. Again, it's just the energy in the room. I would say it's more so energy in the room to vibe off of the other person, and it gives the person performing a bit of like a vim to kind of do what they're doing. Which is, it's good. It's cool to see actually. It's nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we're just talking from the perspective of actual like when you're on stage as the musician, because you lot have prepared it. So I just feel like it's good for you lot to know what it's like for the actual musicians as well. Because I know it might sound confusing, like, oh, what's the band gonna... I remember you lot were asking questions like, oh, are they only gonna play a certain type of music, etc. So this is your chance to kind of just break any conceptions that you have about what it's like, just inviting people on stage. So yeah, what do you lot... what questions have you got about that topic?
I have a question. Well, it's not really directly linked to the genre. I mean, how do you connect during the performance? Say, what if there is a moment you feel, oh, it's probably not going the right way? How would you communicate, not non-verbally? Is there a way to do that?
It's never happened.
Yeah, I think that happened yesterday actually.
Is it?
Yeah, for like a second. And it was what even happened? But that does happen. That can happen. In that case, I feel like depending on, it could go either way. It could go very left, or I feel like it could be something where the person will either ask, I don't know if it's the guitar player or the chords to change or the tempo of the song to change. We will just have to adjust to what the person needs or wants, which isn't a bad thing. Sometimes it will happen as we're going. So if someone's playing something and it's too slow, the person will ask it, I want it to be a bit more lively, or like up the tempo a tiny bit. And then we just kind of go with what the person wants. I would say that.
You like say to each other, oh, we need this.
Definitely,
yeah, man, yeah. Even some people will say on the mic, like they will
can we
make
just slow it down?
Yeah.
Can you change the key? Well, I don't think anyone will ask you to change the key. Don't ask someone to change the key mid-performance, please. You can't do that. But
definitely tempo-wise.
Can I get it slower?
Yeah, which it's not. I don't think it's a bad thing. Like we're all here to kind of just create.
Yeah.
And it's something new. It's never going to be something that we've done before. So, yeah, it's like an artist making or creating, painting something. If it's the wrong color, you're going to change it.
If anything, how do you prefer somebody taking the lead for a second in a jam session. So say a new vocalist comes in and they like what you're playing, but they don't like what you're playing fully. How would somebody ask you, for example, to make a change?
How would I prefer someone to ask me?
Yeah.
Direct, I guess. I don't know if I've been asked that question before.
I can see
It's a
why.
good question. Go on, what are you about to
Only
say?
because you're playing bass. Whereas I feel like when you're playing keys and guitar, people, just like you were saying earlier, people rely on the loud instrument like the keys and the guitar.
Like the
and
melody
drums.
of what's happening,
Yeah.
the harmonics of
So you'll probably find people going up to Leo, for example, when he's playing keys. Somebody might actually walk up to him and start whispering in his ear. The devil happens. That happened last time.
Yeah.
People come up to him and be like, yo, can we try this type of vibe? And he might put a phone in his ear and say, and then Leo will be like, cool. So it's like, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's probably one of the best ways to do it. Just go up to him and ask him. And it's his job to facilitate and help people get what they want out of the jam.
Yeah.
So
That's true. I feel like I do that sometimes, depending on who's playing. And I'll just ask them, like, could you switch it up a bit? Just to generally change the feel of what's happening. Yeah, because you vibe off the energy of the person who's either singing or rapping, spoken word, whatever it might be. And if you can tell that they're not vibing with it, it will be obvious. I feel like when it comes to things like this, you have to be kind of quick on your feet a little bit to kind of adjust so they don't walk off unhappy. That's the one thing I would hate, for someone to like go off and be like, yeah, nah, that wasn't.
That's never happened to you before. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No.
That's never happened to you before.
You say it's never happened.
It's definitely happened to
It's
me.
happened.
Yeah,
Well, how did it like?
I'm only telling this. I'm going to tell the story just so people know because it's a biased session, isn't it?
Okay.
So, like, I had one jam. I'm not gonna say which jam session. I'll tell you which jam session it was later. But I went to one jam session, and it was like, it was cool, but when you're not really sure as to like, one, what you're gonna do in the session, and two, if you're even ready to perform. Because sometimes you don't even, like, I performed 26 shows last year. So there's a lot. But that doesn't mean that like I'm always highly energized, highly confident today. So today, it wasn't my day. I was just there, and something pressured me to go on stage. Because the thing about jam sessions, which is why I told you lot to make sure you have a mood in advance, like set the tone for people, is because sometimes the conception of a jam session is that you have to perform because everyone performs. You have to jam because everybody is jamming. You just have to do it. If you're a musician, how can you not participate? So most people that's gonna come tomorrow, even despite the fact that you told everybody in the marketing, oh, it's chill vibe, people are still gonna feel nervous. That's a fact, unfortunately. But it's good that you've done it. So even for me now, me feeling that one time I was on the stage, and Larissa was there, my saxophone player was there. So I should have been confident anyway. Keys was playing, drums was playing, and I must have jumped on stage at the wrong time. Because they must have been playing some fast, hype, instrumental. And I jumped on the stage and I started doing one chorus, and it just didn't bang. I didn't get like the feelings that I wanted to feel from performing in it. And it just felt like you're just stuck on stage now with nothing to do. And the worst thing you can do, is what I actually did, is just stick to feeling uncomfortable. So you're performing now, but you're performing the uncomfortable version of your performance. So even though what I'm saying might be on time and it might sound cool to people, you're not really feeling it, so you just feel like you did rubbish. And I just feel like the best thing to do is what you lot were talking about, which is like just ask for a switch up. Like once you jump on stage, if you actually don't feel like you're doing what you want to do, you're not actually giving ideas that you want to be giving, just be like, yo, actually, let me just switch, can I switch it up actually, is that alright? Do you know what I mean? I feel like a jam has to be like a safer, you have to make it a safe space where you're comfortable to make a change. Do you know what I mean? Because just jamming, you're not forced to perform. But yeah, was that even a question that we were talking about? I don't remember now.
I was asking you what happens.
What happened?
in
Oh, I
terms
told
of-
you.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, what you said is perfect example of what I personally feel like a jam session should be. Because I've been to jam sessions where it was not that. It did not feel like, it didn't feel safe enough for me to kind of just play and make mistakes or just like be myself, if that makes sense. Because you can be in situations where everyone is a bit cliquey, everyone's like in their own little worlds, and then you come along expecting it to be, you know, like what tomorrow will be, and it's just not that. Like your expectations, I think, sometimes can mess up your vibe or mess up my mood type of thing. So I would go, and yeah, everyone like started playing quietly, and in my head I'm thinking, like, we need to turn the music up. Like, I'm not about to play or do anything other than what I'm doing currently. But everyone was expecting me to like do solos. I was not feeling that day. That wasn't a good day. It wasn't what I heard good things about the place, and then I went and it just wasn't what I was expecting, which is a bit sad. But again, I don't think I was prepared for one.
So here's a question then for these lot then. If you know that, now you lot know that, from a musician's perspective, regardless, it can still feel a bit troublesome to do a jam. What do you think a behind the scenes team of a jam session can do to make the space more comfortable on the day? So, for example, we have a host, we have a front of house person, like a hospitality, someone that's there in the beginning just telling people what the vibe is going to be like, and obviously you just got staff, so that won the event. So what can people do before and during the event to make sure that a musician feels comfortable playing at a jam session? And you can give your example, what the improved version of it, like what could have been better?
In that situation, maybe having someone there to kind of reiterate like it's cool. It's like you don't need to stress out. Because I felt like everyone in that room was in the same mindset of like what you said, like having the expectation that if you come in with an instrument, you're expected to play something type of thing. Whereas like just having someone around like to talk to, that kind of eases your mind a little bit, might help give you the bit of the boost to go up if that's the case of you not wanting to do that. I really liked what you said about like the differences between the last jam and this one in terms of having like prompts or things for people to kind of use words or have something there to get the blockage or the blank space out of their heads when they're on stage. Because that can happen as soon as you step on. You might be all for it and then you get on stage and you're like, oh, what do I say? Like 4 bars has passed and you've not said anything. So I think that's a really good idea. The activity thing as well, just having more in like everything being more interactive. Because sometimes you'll just sit there and you're watching, and then the next person will go up and you just sat there, and there's no communication at all. Some people like that. I feel like creatively, it's always got to be a give and take. Which I think that will definitely be like a success for this. I'm really excited for tomorrow. It's gonna be good. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, well, it's for them, so how do you not feel about the information? Yeah. So, yeah, now you don't know how. Have a think about that, so that tomorrow you can help. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Shout some notes at you. I'm joking.
No, honestly, if we're all up there, like, would we play? Please do. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what, and it's true. I like that about this event as well. Like, you like had the sick idea of adding that the prompts and all of that. Like, it's good to help people. I feel like the participation bit is very helpful. Like, basically, if you're having a jam, like, you're basically facilitating a space for people to make music. So a lot of jams are just step into the room and do whatever, and it can be cool. But I
it's
think
not as fun. I don't think at times you don't have fun with it if you're just there to like, I'm here to play this. It's like, I like those ideas because it allows people to have an open mind, but you're all doing it together. It's not just you're coming with your own ideas and stuff like that. It's like a collective.
So you feel like welcomed, like family.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's good to have an option, isn't it? Like, some people might actually just take out their phone and start writing lyrics by themselves or writing their own prompts. But at least if you have the table that you've got, which is well, people watching this are the prompt table, where you can just sit down on the table and write lyrics and write ideas. You can go and chat to a stranger for the first time while you're doing it, exchange ideas. At least there's an option to at least have like a little community thing going on, so that you don't actually just feel like it's just you by yourself. It's just you alone contributing to the jam. At least you're doing it as a squad if you want to. So yeah. Whether people use it or not is a test. I've not seen anyone do that in a jam session before, so that was actually a really unique idea that you had still.
Yeah.
So you can see how people feel about it.
I feel like that came out of, that Perry came up with the prompt jar idea, and I feel like it came out of the fact that sometimes at open mics, because we don't know who's coming, sometimes it can, like lyrically, like content wise, unless someone comes like prepared, like this is what I want to do, like I've got a whole song, and it can get a bit like, I don't know, watery, like, do you know what I mean, like the ideas and people just are on it for the sake of like, which is fine, but if this like keeps on going like that for like an hour or two, it can get a bit boring, right? Like that was from my own thing in it, and then also we thought about how like some people are writers but they might not necessarily be singers, so it's like,
oh yeah, that was it.
Okay, that's
like for the writing part, like actually, and then that does involve like trying to get also the creative, like the collaborative ideas of that, like we all have strong points, and it's like most songs aren't written by the singer anyways, you know what I mean? So just trying to get them involved as well if they feel like they can't contribute, like, or they can.
That's good. I like that. That's very cool. I've never seen that in a jam session. I think that's gonna be, that's gonna be fun.
Well, if it works, then we'll be trendsetters.
That's good.
This was
I think. So. Actually, did you have any questions from you that you have from that thought? No. Oh,
I did have one, but I'm thinking, kind of forgetting about it right now. How long did it take you to build up this confidence? What exercise do you usually, to practice that?
I'm still building. Definitely performing. That's the main thing. I really want to do more to kind of get me in a space where I'm cool with just walking in a room and playing. I can do that anyway, but sometimes I can get a bit nervous.
Do you practice alone or with somebody else?
Both. I should practice more than I do currently. As honest as I can be. But I would say performing by myself and with people, I would say it's a thing that helps with confidence. Since doing like quite a few sofas with you, I feel like I talk on stage better than I did at the start of the year.
Facts. Yeah, I feel like it's one thing. It's in the beginning. It's good to therefore rehearse by yourself because you don't have anybody yet,
Mm.
probably. So you have to do it. I'm not gonna lie to you, because if you do that, like, you will slowly be growing and gaining some skills. At least at the point where when you actually link up with other people, you're competent in a way. I think that, like, yeah, it's important to keep rehearsing by yourself so that you're always relying on yourself as well.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? What if this happened before? Didn't this time happen? Oh, you weren't there, but there was even a time where I did the Soulful Sounds with Larissa. So this was the one after your one.
Okay.
We did it. So I had a spree of shows, 3 weeks ago, and then we were just going around London doing shows, and every show something went wrong, fam. Mentally, at least to us, the crowd still enjoying it, which is why I say you have to be competent, because then at least you want to be at a place where like people can enjoy sort of stuff still. But every day we were leaving the show feeling a bit dejected, like we're trash, we're not getting to practice. But there was one particular one where I went to the show, yeah, and it was just gonna be me and my saxophone player, and Chevelle borrowed me her Ableton Push, which is like a device that allows you to play music off your laptop out loud, so you could do some sound design. So I had those 3 things as my set, and everything was so wrong. I did one like before it was my time. I was the last performer as well. So we went on stage now. No, we had a 10-minute break, and I said to the woman, "Yo, can I go? I'm gonna go toilet, okay? I'm gonna go toilet." I went to the toilet so that thinking she was gonna wait for me. I came out the toilet. The show had started. She'd already introduced me. So I walked out of the toilet into the crowd. Cool. After that happened, I was like, alright guys, it's me. Still confident, still cool. I opened my laptop to open up the Ableton Push.
It's gone.
It wasn't working.
Oh.
Not the Push, no.
No, dude.
The laptop wasn't working. So I tried to press play on the beats, the drums, it wasn't playing. The microphone levels, incorrect. You couldn't hear me even talk.
Oh shoot.
So what ended up happening was me and Larissa, we had to just think on the spot and just be like, alright, what are you doing? I had to like get like random instrumentals off my actual laptop, unplug the Ableton, just plug it into my laptop and just see what I could do. And it became a thing where me and her were just kind of playing, she was playing the saxophone to no drums and I was just there performing to the crowd. And it was like, it's people actually bought my merch still. People actually were like, yeah, this guy was good. He was actually good, you know? And it was almost like, it was so horrible for me.
Stressed out.
It was so stressful. But if I wasn't practiced, if I didn't practice by myself to be able to even think on the fly and think, okay, what happens if this happens? What happens if Larissa's saxophone broke? What Larissa on her side, play as a saxophonist, what happens if T can't perform right now and I'm standing on stage with him? Both of us had the knowledge as to what we actually would have to do. So we were able to pull the show together and still put on the show, even though, you know, the people that we're with, it wasn't really fully working. So it's definitely a mix of like, definitely practice a lot by yourself to the point where you're always going to be able to be prepared for something, but also you should practice with your team. You should try and find people to practice, and that's why we have these jam sessions, because if you don't have a squad to play with, at least you can have a temporary squad. You can go to the jam sessions, meet some strangers and play music with them, and you can get that experience. Do you know what I mean? And I think when all of that things come together, it's like you just become a better performer in general, to be honest. So yeah.
Was you able to hide the fact that things were going wrong?
No, I told them to their face. One thing I have learned is sometimes you got to tell the truth, especially if it's something not in your control, because you're gonna have to give them a show. And my thing is, during the show and at the end of the show, we're gonna become friends. And like when you see me, you're gonna be like, I like this guy. Do you know what I mean? And I want to be able to say, I like this audience. That's a relationship. So there's no point in me hiding stuff in the relationship. Like if you're with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you're not gonna be lying to them like, yo, I'm late because you're not gonna lie. You're gonna tell the truth. At least the best truth that they need to know. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I just had to do it with practice. You have to do it in a charming way, in a good way. And I just said, guys, we're gonna have a good show today. But I'm gonna tell you, this is the situation. But we're gonna have our vibes, and this is how it's gonna happen. And my thing is, I'm already trained. I already know how to make it happen in a good way for them, probably. So they just have to trust me. Do you know what I mean? So, but if you're not training, then you know, like if you're not training and you know everything's going wrong around you, you probably can't go up to people and say, "Yo, guys, all my equipment's broken now," because you're gonna put on a rubbish show because you're not trained. So that's why you have to keep training, because you want to be prepared for all of the stuff. You want to be able to confidently say stuff is going bad right now, and you can confidently say that it's gonna be okay. That's what you want to be as a musician or performer. Yeah.
I hear that.
I spoke a lot, sorry.
No, it's good. It definitely is a trust thing, especially with people like taking in your energy, what you're giving, because it's like a back and forth thing. So it's good that the way that you've done it. I like the way you interact with the crowd. It's always like I see people the way they like what's the words? Not the way that they look at you, but like the way that they see you perform. And I can see that they're really like enjoying what's happening. They're taking things in, they're listening to the words that you say, and yeah, it's good.
That's good stuff. But it's not just me, it's also because of these lot. And so, on the other hand as well, outside of like me doing what I do what if something happens to somebody that hasn't got a mic? Because just the example of how to solve something when you've got a mic. Now let's say tomorrow you're doing a jam session, and let's do 2 examples. Within the jam session, the bass amp isn't working, and you can't communicate that. What are you gonna do on the day? And you're like, do you know what I mean? What do you do as a musician if something goes wrong? That's what I want you to think about for a second. What would you have to do? And for you lot, if something goes wrong with the event and you're not a front-facing person, do you feel like you know what you can do to keep the show alive?
First of all, I think the engineer would just jump in.
Okay, listen to the engineer. Listen, you lot are the engineer.
For us,
It's just you lot.
We would have to do something interactive just to engage the crowd, even if it's just something like an icebreaker. I went to some show on Sunday and one of the guys did song association. He played that game with us, and that kind of brought up the energy a bit, even though it was a bit awkward. And then everyone was singing along, like we were singing along to Usher. So it's just like put in something interactive that everybody knows and get that crowd engagement.
What do you think,
well, this definitely happens to my previous experience, like the mics didn't work, or you know these are quite frequent. Sometimes you have to just call it, say, coming to pause for a moment, we need to adjust the equipment, or the alarm, the siren just just goes off randomly, and just before the show begins, so like 5 minutes, and the siren just, and then 3 goddesses sit on the stage. It's supposed to be a very serene atmosphere, but you have to sit in the siren that moment, and it just took longer to adjust, and we just apparently the audience understand, oh, there is a situation, but they probably take it just as part of the experience. So as long as it's fixed and you're not really freaking out, and yeah, the problem will be solved within the moment, and then continue. I guess that's the way to do it.
No freaking out.
Yeah, let the professionals to do the stuff. Say, I mean, for us, we have our rules. I don't think we should interfere that. We should definitely communicate directly for those who will be like taking care of those stuff, and let them to do the say the sound check, etc. And
that's facts.
Yeah.
That goes into the next bit. This is about trust as well, which is in all of these topics. It is basically trust. I think when you're in the band, you've got to trust everybody to vibe with you, and you can vibe with somebody else. And for you lot, you've got to trust your roles and do what you can in your own roles, obviously. So yeah, how does How has trust helped you when you're playing music and making music?
Allowed me to be my authentic self without me feeling like I need to be something else. Or me feeling like I have to be the expectation that you see of me, if that makes sense. Because you'll be a villain to someone in your lifetime type of thing. I always feel like that comes to pass, but it's knowing who you are as a person and trusting your creative side, knowing that you're able to connect with the person you're creating with, doing it often so you know that wherever you are, if you do it live, it's always going to be a vibe regardless of if it's a bad show or if it doesn't go according to plan. Because I don't think anything goes according to plan. You plan something, it won't go that way. It might be better than what you've done or what you've planned, but trust just allows you to be free with what you're doing, I think. Especially when it comes to meeting people like sound engineers. I think yesterday, I'm annoyed I've forgotten his name, but there's a guy who has sound engineered a few of the sofas I've done. And so when I saw him, I knew I was calm because I know he knows my sound and what, like I trusted him to, make sure everything runs smoothly type of thing. Not to say that if I met a new sound engineer I would feel a bit nervous, but it just gives me the opportunity to create that, what's the word? Create the, what word am I looking for? Like you're meeting a new person. It's relationship.
Bonding.
Yeah, bonding, that thing, just to be able to have that.
Well, understanding as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because if there's a thing where you're playing something or you're doing something and you can't hear anything, you communicate that with them. And if they sort it out in quick time, you know that if you were to see them again, if there's any problem, you know it would be sorted because they listen and they've got you type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
In that respect, I would say trust goes a long way when it comes to things.
I've got a question. So besides practicing, as a band, do you have any special rituals together that you do collaboratively to build that bonding?
I just don't, I feel like we should. Now that you've said that,
Rituals for what?
that definitely needs to happen.
I don't know,
What
sometimes
did you
just,
say?
before...
No, we've done that before. You the shows that you haven't been, we don't do it
So
consistently
it's just
enough.
me then.
It's just when you're there.
It's only when she's there. No, I'm joking. We haven't done it in time. I remember when we had a couple festivals. We had Titan Festival, which you wasn't. Yeah, you wasn't at
No,
that
I
one.
wasn't at that.
Cool.
I wasn't at any of the.
I don't think it was. Was you even in the band at the time? I don't know.
No.
Maybe you're just draining.
starting.
She was just draining, but like before, like a super show where it's mad. Like this one, T-Pain was there. So man grew up listening to this guy and a whole bunch of people that were performing. So before we went on, we were just like surrounded by security guards and super people, like people that were special. So just to give everybody just the mood that we're actually gonna do well. Some people were nervous, and stuff. Even like Love Supreme, I remember he was in the audience, so she came to watch us perform in Brighton, and we were just in the tent, and there was nobody in the tent that we were gonna perform in. There was 0 people. There was you. There was her and my fiance in the crowd, and it's a massive tent, and there was no one there. And it goes back to the trust before I even told the story about the ritual bit. But like, there was nobody in the tent, but the staff of Love Supreme came up to me, because at the time, who was performing? Tom Misch was performing at the same time.
Yeah.
And then it was going to be Liana Lahavas, I can't say her name. So there was one superstars performing, and no one was in our tent. The staff came up to me and was like, yo, T, as you can see, there's nobody in the tent. but it's okay.
Oh.
We're gonna do something for you. And then they got these guys called the South London Samba Group. These like kids.
Oh.
Do you remember them? They were like kids playing like samba drums, and they had them go out of our tent
Okay.
and start playing like a performance out in the fields where people were just walking around. They gathered the crowd together and they brought them back into my tent. So that's what they did for me without me having to worry. Because I could have been worrying like, "Oh, I'm doing a festival to nobody." Damn. Trust. That's trust. Just leave it to the team. There's no point in me forcing my stresses on something I have no control of. There's a team for that. But anyway, while that's happening, obviously my banders are all feel that, so we're still nervous, some of them. So what do? I think my own personal ritual was to do a quick vocal warm up before a show, just so I like have a last quick sense of confidence. So I'll just make sure I do the stuff. I'm not gonna do it in front of you now, but like you just do exercises basically, articulation stuff, all of that. I'll just find a little corner and do all of the stuff for quick seconds. Everyone's looking at me weird. I remember Larissa's looking at, oh, Jesus in the zone doing something now. I don't know, is he okay? But it's ritual, you gotta do it anyway. And then when we actually teamed up, we just did like a circle. And obviously Leo must have done one prayer. And we did one of those special, and then we just went out there. And it was just cool still, just as a squad ritual. But yeah, I feel like rituals are kind of cool. I don't like the word ritual. It sounds kind of weird. But like habits and stuff, like stuff that you just do before a thing, I feel like that helps with the trust as well, because it's like you're all in this together.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. Maybe you could incorporate that into the jam, give everybody like something to interact with on the day. I mean, I like how we've got the jar of prompts and stuff, all these little group activities. As a host or that, like maybe you can think of like call and response stuff. Do you know what I mean? Things that people can just latch onto at the jam so that they remember, that they can attach to the word confidence or attach to the word of safety. Do you know what I mean? So that way everyone just remembers that they're safe because of this ritual that everyone's taking part in.
I hear that.
People always do that type of stuff. Even yesterday, while she was at one jam, I was at another jam, like a poetry jam, and one of the poets was like, breathe in and out. Everyone had to do deep breathing within his poem. And it was weird. Like he would say the poem and it would be like this deep breaths. And everyone in the crowd just does a quick deep breath and everyone just feels connected. Everyone just feels peaceful like, all of a sudden because the poem is about peace. So like, I feel like the ritual thing is a cool, I feel like it's probably an important part of every performance, to be honest. Yeah. Anyway, do you have any rituals?
I don't actually. No.
Do you wish you did?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know what it would be. I'm trying to think of if there's anything I do specifically before I perform or like before I go on stage.
Get a massage from Leo.
No.
That's as a joke,
That
as a
should be
Leo.
one.
Every time you do a show, Leo does one. He's a massage
That
therapist.
is true.
So if you're nervous, he'll
does do
literally just
that.
come behind you and give you a quick massage to cool you down
Does
mentally.
that work?
It actually does, you know, because I've done it to you before. He always does it to me. I'll be panicking and then Leo will just come behind me like, yo, we're good, man. And man's just breaking my back, hurting me, fam. But I actually feel calm. But yeah.
Free massage from Leo on the day.
Yeah, for real.
Can you imagine?
But
Why
yeah,
not? Why not?
It's a bonus for the jam session.
love. But yeah. What's the thing? Oh, yeah, I see you right. Were you like just nuts?
Oh no, I was just saying, what were you saying
Oh.
about all levels once?
I have a question that you probably have talked about earlier. So I wonder what would be the trickiest experience you had since you started playing jams, like the trickiest moment, not really because of lack of practice, but just the part is really tricky. And what type of performance will you find, oh, this is not really easy to follow, I need to play strategically.
So what was the most challenging experience of a jam session that you had?
It's probably going to be the solo thing.
Solo.
I never do them. Just because of that reason, because I feel like I know. I'm lying. It has happened once where I've attempted and it just wasn't I didn't like it, and I could see people in the audience was getting bored,
Mhm.
and I could just see people falling asleep, and it just wasn't great.
Did
Yeah,
it become somehow like a psychological hurdle? So it
definitely.
can trigger it every time. That's kind of like a traumatic, not really
Mhm.
traumatic, but you have that hurdle in your
Yeah,
mind.
and it didn't help that the guy before was doing some
He was sick,
madness
innit?
on a 6-string bass. And I was just watching him like, why am I may as well just go home at this point, like what am I doing here? But there were a few people who stopped me afterwards to kind of say, oh, like I liked your groove type of thing. So everyone has their own niche. Jam wise, I think that's the only thing. Yeah.
Do you think for other roles, say the keyboard player, the vocalist, when they jam with, say, what do you think will be their challenges?
I don't know. I feel like Leo can do everything.
Hmm?
I feel like Leo can do everything. And Marissa. They're pretty good when it comes to like just overall. Everybody actually. Everyone's pretty good at what they do.
Basically saying we're the best. Jake. So, okay, cool. No, I hear you. In terms of this band, they're pretty versatile. If you're asking about that, but if you're asking about in general, like in musicians in general, what's a challenge? Then, ooh. I mean, for the vocalist, it's definitely like having like a crowd, like a relationship with the stage. For example, I think one thing about going to jam sessions, I feel like everyone should know this. I feel like, because the things that we're talking about, it's all about society in general, like what we're talking about. For example, the fact that you can go on stage and feel competition because there's another bassist on stage, the crazy madness, and the fact that everybody's looking bored. These are things that society is putting on us to make us feel insecure anyway. So, you know, if we were to have a good jam session, which goes back to how the marketing is, how you lot as staff are running it, you know what I mean, the vibe and stuff, you want to build a community where you don't really have that. You don't have competition, everybody feels like they're coming to a session and everyone's coming to be loved and supported. So that way we don't have to feel that in the first place. Cool. But if we don't have that, I think, yeah, it's definitely a relationship with the squad. Like for me, for example, if I would jump on stage or the singer jumps on stage and they sing like a chorus, and usually the chorus has like a response, a call and response to it, for example, and the response doesn't have the energy.
How are you dealing with that?
You just have to, you either keep going or you have to adapt to the crowd. And one of those is going to make you feel good. It's one of those, it's like a compromise, you know what I mean? Because some people will jump on stage, you'll see it tomorrow maybe, somebody will jump on stage and they'll be like, what they'll want to jump. They'll want to have super energy because they came on stage expecting to perform a super energized piece. But then if the crowd doesn't respond to them, it will just lower your mood to do that. So you can either go and force it and continue that kind of thing and try and, you know, bring the crowd with you, or you can just tame it down and like not do that and do something else. But it's really your option though. No answer is right or wrong. It's really just whatever you feel good about. And I think that's the important part about what you gotta do about making a jam, because actually, like, the artist should feel like they can switch it up. Like it's not a performance where they're performing their best song. They're just improvising with, and if the crowd isn't feeling like that, then maybe they can change. But that's a challenge that they're gonna have to face, like making decisions on the spot as to how they want to perform, for example. Yeah. Yeah, man. But yeah. I'll ask you one more question. I'm telling the stream off. What? Actually, it's got. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions for these, actually? Or just a question in general for anybody?
I don't think so. I feel like everyone answered all my questions. I was asking questions before this,
Oh, okay.
obviously, but
I have a question. So far, what is the best way you find to just evoke the audience passion? Like
Ooh.
the best way.
I don't think I've tapped into that yet.
Have you observed very interesting ways to do that?
I've observed this guy, he's very good at it. I think it also comes into play with your songs, because they are very chord responsive. The hook is easy enough for people to sing along. I don't think I'm there yet, which is okay. Sometimes,
I think you're there, but I think it's more like, there's no best way. The best way is to make good music. Do you know what I mean? Because if your song's good, people are going to want to join in anyway. If the song's not good, why would you know what I mean? So you have to make sure you feel like the song's good, at least. I'm not saying your song has to be objectively good. I'm just saying you have to feel like you're making a good song so that the energy transfers to other people. Do you know what I mean? So just really just confidence in general. Because Chevelle now, if you were doing what's it called, top trumps, yeah, up like a stack of cards and you had to rate your score, yeah. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna be a waste on about it, obviously. Talent, maybe 10 out of 10. I don't know, appearance, 10 out of 10. She might look super good on the day, but then if her confidence is on like a 4 out of 10 and she's performing one of her songs, then yeah, the crowd might not be involved. But if her confidence is 10 out of 10 and you're performing a good song that doesn't have a call and response bit, she could just ask the crowd, you could just make one on the spot.
That's true.
You could just make, okay, I got this line, you lot sing it instead. And the confidence will transfer. So it's really, I feel like if anyone's gonna perform tomorrow, they just need to have the confidence to ask and feel good about themselves. So that, I mean, that's everyone's job. Our job is to make sure that when people step in the room, they feel confident. And their job is to try and make sure they hype themselves up to actually jump on stage and do confident things. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question though. Yeah, I just don't think there's a specific answer. Like, I just don't think there's like a best way to get a crowd to talk to you. Because I could do the same song a million times and sometimes the crowd is rubbish at performing. Sometimes the crowd is amazing. Sometimes I'm rubbish at doing the same song and the crowd is amazing. Sometimes, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It changes every time, depending on the
Yeah.
mood. But yeah. I hope that helps you like, get some background.
Yeah, definitely. And I know Chevelle should have more confidence. I think you definitely, yeah, you will smash it.
Thank you.
Chevelle's sick, fam. She's the best.
Take all your kind words and
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited for what you guys have done for tomorrow. It's gonna be good.
It'll be your vibes. It doesn't matter who's there, as in like, you lot have created a special room where like, I feel anyway, that you can come up proud and also all of the ideas that you've had are like mad innovative. So it's one of the ones where you could just keep doing, you could do this again and again and again and just build off it. So this is just a test run so that you can get some research as well. And you get talented people, do you know what I mean? They're getting paid to do cool stuff tomorrow. So, yeah. That's it. Well, that's it for the stream anyway. What do you mean? It was recorded from here and from Instagram and YouTube at the same time. Anyway, yeah.
See, I have no clue. This is, I don't know how you do it, bro.
Well.